Gogmagog was a legendary giant in Welsh and later English folklore. According to Geoffrey of Monmouth's Historia Regum Britanniae, he was a giant inhabitant of Albion, thrown off a cliff during a wrestling match with Corineus. Gogmagog was the last of the giants found by Brutus and his men inhabiting the land of Albion. The effigies of Gogmag and Corineus, used in English pagentry and later instituted as guardian statues at Guildhall in London, eventually earned the familiar names Gog and Magog. Etymology. The name Gogmagog is often connected to the biblical characters Gog and Magog. However, Manly Pope, author of an 1862 English translation of the Welsh chronicle Britanniae, argued that it was a corruption of Gogmagog. Geoffrey of Monmouth. Gogmag in The Legend of the Founding of Britain, as written by Geoffrey of Monmouth in Historia Regum Britanniae. Gogmagog was a giant of Albion, was slain by Corineus, a member of the invading Trojan colonizers headed by Brutus. Corineus was subsequently granted a piece of land that was named Cornwall, eponymously after him. The Historia details the encounter as follows. Gogmagog, accompanied by 20 fellow giants, attacked the Trojan settlement and caused great slaughter. The Trojans rallied back and killed all giants, except for one detestable monster named Gogmagog, in stature 12 cubits, and of such prodigious strength that at one shake he pulled up an oak as if it had been a hazel wand. He is captured so that Corineus can wrestle with him. The giant breaks 3 of Corineus's ribs, which so enrages him that he picks up the giant and carries him on his shoulders to the top of a high rock, from which he throws the giant down into the sea. The place where he fell was known as Gogmagog's Leap to posterity. Later versions. Goemagot's combat with Corineus, according to Geoffrey, was repeated in Wace's Anglo-Norman Brut and Layamon's Middle English Brut. Because Geoffrey's work is regarded as fact until the late 17th century, the story has continued to appear in most early histories of Britain. The tale of Gogmagog's ancestry was composed later in the 14th century. Known as the Albion story, it claimed Gogmagog to be a giant descended from Albina and her sisters, 30 daughters of the king of Greece exiled to the land later to be known as Albion. This story was added as a prologue to later versions of Brut's pseudo-history. Thus, according to the Middle English prose version of the Brut, known as the Chronicles of England, Albina was the daughter of Syrian king named Diocletian, from whom Gogmagog and Laocoon and the other giants of Albion are descended. These giants lived in caves and hills until being conquered by Brutus's party arriving in Totinus. A later chapter describes Gogmagog's combat Corineus at Totins, more or less as according to Geoffrey. Gogmagog was the tallest of these giants. Corin in comparison was at least the largest man from the waist upward among Brutus's crew. Caxton's printed edition, The Chronicles of England, closely matches this content. Raphael Holinshead also localizes the event of the Leap of Gogmagog at Dover, but William Camden in his 1586 work Britannia locates it on Plymouth Hoe, perhaps following Richard Carew's survey of Cornwall. Carew describes the portraiture of 2 men, one bigger, the other lesser, which was cut upon the ground at the Hoe in Plymouth. These figures were first recorded in 1495 and were destroyed by the construction of the Royal Citadel in 1665. Michael Drayton's Poly-Albion preserves the tale as well. Guardians of London. The Lord Mayor's account of Gogmagog says that the Roman Emperor Diocletian had 33 wicked daughters. He found 33 husbands for them to curb the wicked ways. They chafed at this, and under the leadership of the eldest sister, Alba, they murdered the husbands. For this crime they were set adrift at sea. They washed ashore on a wind-swept island, which they named Albion after Alba. Here they coupled with demons and gave birth to a race of giants, whose descendants included Gog and Magog. The effigies of two giants were recorded in 1558 at the coronation of Queen Elizabeth I and were described as Gogmag the Albion and Corineus the Briton. These, or similar figures, made of wickerwork and pasteboard, made regular appearances in the Lord Mayor's show thereafter, although they became known as Gog and Magog over the years. New figures were carved from pine in 1709 by Captain Richard Saunders and displayed in the Guildhall until 1940, when they were destroyed in an air raid. They were replaced by David Evans in 1953. Images of Gog and Magog are carried by Lord Mayors of the City of London in a traditional procession in the Lord Mayor's show each year on the second Saturday of November. In Irish folklore, works of Irish mythology, including the Leborgabala Éireann, expand on the Genesis account of Magog as the son of Japheth and make him the ancestor to the Irish through Partholon, leader of the first group to colonize Ireland after the deluge, and a descendant of Magog, as also were the Milesians, the people of the fifth invasion of Ireland. Magog was also the progenitor of the Scythians, as well as of numerous other races across Europe and Central Asia. His three sons were Barth, Jobharth, and Farthocta.